Happy brand new Democracy Day to Nigerians, and thank you for joining this special edition, Democracy edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubaku. Today's edition of Journalist Hangout is special. It's specially designed to commemorate the new Democracy Day in Nigeria after the switch from May 29 to June 12 to demonstrate our resolve for the growth of democratic governance. Not only that, our fans from far and near have come to hang out with us right here in the studio of TVC Lagos. A round of applause. Thank you, thank you. Thank you all for the honor and privilege to share this moment in Nigeria's history with you. So we start today's proceedings to add another color to this Democracy Day special of Journalist Hangout. A young saxophonist, Ronaldo Ayomide Kolade Otitoju, is in the studio to render the national anthem. Please, a round of applause to encourage this young man. Thank you so much. Ronaldo Ayomide Kolade Otitoju is the son of our own Metro Babajide Kolade Otitoju, rendering the national anthem. Now we move on now. Nigeria is on another threshold in its quest for democratic consolidation as a country. After years of denial, opposition, and brutality against the wishes of the people, the federal government accepted the outcome of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. Precisely on the 6th of June 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari announced that June 12 would become the new Democracy Day in Nigeria. And on June 12, 2018, the president followed that up by accepting the results of the election, regarding it as the freest and the fairest in the country's history, and declaring the winner, the late Basharu MKO Abiola, as the duly elected president at this point in our country's political history. We bring you this edition as part of our desire to provide the platform for the people to debate and influence what happens in the management of their lives. Let me take you to salute some of our colleagues who always raise the odds to be here every day on Journalist Hangouts. I have with me, first and foremost, Mayor Akipelu. Thank you, Mayor, for always being there. Somewhere I have Martins Oloja. Wale Adedayo. Osiare Gani Kayode Balogun GKB. Mojid Jamiu. Mobolade Omonijo. Olayinka Oyegbile. Charles Ideo. Janet Mba Afolabi. Kolawole Johnson. Ismail Omikpidon. Shola Ojewusi. Chris Kende Wandu, CKN. Mustafa Ogunshakin. Wale Adoye. Wahid Bakari. Tunde Abaton. Adekunle Yusuf. Dare Odufookon. Emeka Madunagu. Cheta Nwaze. Sam Ibemere. Afolabi Akinola. Lekon Shote. Tony Waje. Ayo Makinde. Bola Olajuwon. Stella Soya. And many more. The last but not the least is our maestro in the house, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Okay, let me also take this time out to salute some of my colleagues who are always here, the backbone of this program, anytime I'm not around. I lean on them to carry on with this daily ritual of hosting the show. They are Citizen Jones himself. That's Jones Hussein. Veronica Dan Ikoyi. Bukola Samuel Wemimo. And Kemi Fola Adeyemo. On a day like this, the discussions must be broadened and deepened on charting the way forward. Hence, all colleagues are in the studio to discuss the project, Nigeria, with the cause of our audience. Please, a round of applause from everybody. I'll take this break now. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still Journalist Hangout, the Democracy Special Edition. Welcome back. Politics is not only defined by elections, but by broad participation of citizens in the political process. This way, citizens will be better informed to engender good governance by putting political leaders on their toes. Today, we review the events that have shaped the polity in the last 1 year. We will also focus on politics and the outcome of the 2019 elections, insecurity, and the economy. My guests for this segment are here already. Babajide Kolade Otitoju is in-house. Shegun Ayobolu, we're expecting him, and Gani Kayode Balogun GKB is seated. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. A year ago, uncertainty hovered above the political landscape in Nigeria, dangling dangerously like the proverbial sword of Damocles above us. That period was marred by intrigues, theatrics, mudslinging, cross-carpeting, and outright battles for political relevance in the run-up to the 2019 general election. But the elections came after much squabbling, feuding, horse trading, and machinations, fueled by opened and veiled ambitions for power, reminding us of the statement credited to the great Chinese statesman Mao Zedong that politics is war without bloodshed. The governing party in the country, that's the All Progressive Congress, rode the storm to gather another mandate. Nigerians gave President Muhammadu Buhari another term, while the APC retained its majority in the National Assembly. Across the states, it is new hope and new challenges, including the country's most strategic state, that's Lagos State, for President Muhammadu Buhari and Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State. It's a dawn of fresh challenges to deliver. Babajide, 2019 election. For 1 month, I traveled around the country monitoring the election, and we witnessed the first election that was meant to hold, and it was cancelled, and we had to reschedule, and eventually 2019 came, and Muhammadu Buhari actually emerged as the president. Though some people will say it's contested at the courts? Because the difference between 2015 and 2019 now is that Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, after losing that seat, did not go to courts. But former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is in court. What do you make of that presidential election?
Yeah, the presidential election witnessed some surprises, not entirely unexpected. Clearly, the PDP that so many people had written off pulled some surprises in some states, owing partly to infighting and the dysfunctional nature of the All Progressive Congress in some of the states. And of course, you can't also dismiss the fact that across Nigeria, so many of our people do not believe that the government has done well enough to deserve a second term. So for those not convinced about President Buhari's scorecard, the 2019 presidential election afforded them the opportunities to speak with their votes and get the message across to the president that you have not impressed us enough. So you are not going to get the kind of support that you got in 2015. So for me, when you look at the way the president struggled in some states, it should send a clear message to the president that not all Nigerians are convinced about his performance, and Nigerians will expect a lot more from him now that he has won the election. If you look at many people would say, oh, that election was a landslide. Well, that's not the definition of a landslide. A landslide is when you have overwhelming superiority. In fact, the definition of landslide in a parliamentary election is having 2/3 of the seats, you know. So those who want us to believe that the last election was not close, they need to go back and read the definition of a landslide. And when you look at the number of states that the PDP won, you can't also say that election was not close.
I think the last time I checked now, I think it's 17, 18.
So you can't say that by any stretch of the imagination that was not a close election, and it's still being contested in court. So it's clear that Nigerians spoke. The president retained some of his traditional strongholds, but he had to struggle even in some of those strongholds. So that's to tell you that not everyone was happy with his performance, and that should challenge the president to actually do better this time and give himself immortality, because that is all that matters. Many years down the line, people will talk about his performance. And I heard the president saying to the people of the FCT that in spite of the fact that you didn't vote for me, I'm prepared to protect you, I'm prepared to work for you. Well, even if that was a joke, it was not necessary. The FCT residents have a history of not voting for incumbent governments. Yes, so there was no need for the president to go on and on over that matter. Yes, he lost the election, the FCT, by a wide margin. But that should also tell him that it's a challenge to work harder. It's a challenge. The elections of 2019 have inexorably made the 2023 election potentially nail-biting, because with PDP controlling more states and with some states up for grabs in the next few months, the gap is getting closer and closer between the ruling party and the PDP.
GKB, I never thought Atiku Abubakar could go that far. As in, I never thought the contest could be that close. But it was a tough battle. And as at 24 hours to the election, I could not sit down comfortably and say, this person will win.
Yeah. Like Jide said, you have to put it in perspective. Two things. The president was not as popular as it was. So that's a major factor. The other one is that some states are in turmoil. They are fighting themselves. They are willing to lose than to let the other side win. These, of course, all factors that come
intra-party
together.
crisis.
Seriously.
Within the APC.
Seriously. In some areas, you can see people changing parties 2-3 times in the space of 2 weeks. They will move their people from this party. They will negotiate. If it doesn't work out, they move to the next party. And even in some states, people that normally will not step down for each other did the unthinkable this time. They came together to throw out the incumbents in some states just to ensure that they throw out APC in those states. Those are major factors that can make out the way. In fact, there's a general joke on the eve of the election that if Buhari were to lose, he would have snatched defeat from the mouth of victory. It was that close.
Jide, in Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu emerged, and since 1999, this particular political party has been, dominating the affairs in Lagos State from the days of the Alliance for Democracy to the Action Congress, the Action Congress of Nigeria, now APC. Back to back, 20 years now.
Yes, again, that was not unexpected. It will have been a massive upset for APC to be kicked off his perch in Lagos. APC, from the time of Governor Tinubu, has done quite well in Lagos. And if politicians get rewarded for performance, I do not see how the APC-led administration in Lagos State could be defeated, because the people will reward those who truly work for them. Whether we like it or not, Tinubu raised the bar here in Lagos. In Nigeria, many people didn't know anything like information and strategy. This was something that he introduced, and more and more states are creating that Ministry of Information and Strategy, because they can now see how important it is to communicate and to manage perception, even in ruling the affairs of men. And not only that, you saw how he created LASMA and other agencies that have now, LOMAD, that have now been replicated across Nigeria. Kano now has what you call Carota. Carota is their own version of the transport management agency that Tinubu created here. So, and
Lamata.
It's LASMA.
Okay, LASMA here, Abi?
Yes.
Okay, traffic.
You know?
Okay.
You have a situation in which Lagos has also been blessed with a succession of good governors. Batunde Fashola, many people didn't give him a chance because he was not a career politician. They said he would not succeed, he would not fly. But Tinubu pushed his candidacy, and at the end of the day became governor and did well as governor. Ambode also came. One way to even, if you look at in terms of revenue generation in Lagos, every new administration in Lagos has increased the revenue base of the state.
IGR.
The IGR. Because Ambode came, he did not create new taxes, but he made the collection of taxes more efficient. And Lagos began to generate much more than it was generating before he took over. And he also did well in some areas like traffic management, road infrastructure, you know, with the desire to ease up the perennial traffic gridlock on Lagos road. So the succession of good leaders, if I can describe them as such, has helped the APC to cement its base and actually own Lagos, to see Lagos as a state that belongs to it, that no state and no party can take away from it. And if you look at Lagos, is gradually becoming a one-party state. A lot of the heavy hitters in the PDP have moved into the APC. So if an election is conducted today, who are the people who organize for the rival PDP? Because the heavy hitters have moved into the parties. Like if you cannot beat them, you join them. That's the way the thing is looking like. Because if someone told you some months back that former Minister of Works, Ogunlewe, will join the APC, so you are likely to argue. So but with an Ogunlewe, a man of that stature, moving into the APC, the PDP is in a position in which you can say it doesn't have the capacity to muster the kind of challenge that is required to unseat the APC in Lagos. And if Sanwo-Olu continues along the path of his predecessors and he continues to deliver good governance, it will even make it more difficult for Lagos to be taken off the hands of the APC. Of course, it's a state that anyone will want to control. The resources are there, you know, but
the most profitable real estate.
The fact that the governors that we've had since 1999 have done very well makes it clear that even the electorate will not be thinking of changing the ruling party.
GKB, in the last 4 years, the relationship between the executive and the legislative arm of government has not been so much, despite the fact that they won together, they teamed up together. When you had Dr. Abubakar Bukola Saraki still in APC, won the 2015 election with them, and Yakubu Dogara, we felt that because they came from the same party ordinarily, we are going to have, a productive government. But throughout that 4 years, and looking at in the last 1 year,
cat and dog.
It wasn't so rosy.
Yeah. The president's hands-on approach this time around is a reflection of an acceptance that the original structure, the original plan he had, that he doesn't care who he works with, did not work. Because this last election, you can see the president was deeply involved as a party man up till the night before the inauguration of the National Assembly. That is what leaders do. Because if you have agenda to push, you must create the environment within the legislature to ensure that is done. And that to me is an acceptance that whoever advised him or whatever was the motive for saying that it's for nobody and it's for everybody did not work. And that's why it affected him, his fortunes during the elections. And he accepted it after the elections that there are things he may have done wrong that's going to correct this time around. I'm sure that those days are gone because the present crop are basically the majority leaders in both houses have now taken over. So the party is in control of both houses. I'm sure there will be a more cordial relationship now.
You know, it took 6 months before the president could appoint his ministers. After May 29, Nigerians were hoping that, just at the end of the day to go and give us, the president now came up with men that actually helped him in winning that election. And a lot of Nigerians were looking at what's the big deal about the names of the likes of Lai Mohammed, Rotimi Amechi, Audu Ogbe. These are the people, Babatunde Fashola, people, that name would have been ready on the night of inauguration. But if that is what you are going to give us at the end of the day. But how would you assess this crop of ministers in the last 3.5 years, so to say?
Yeah, but some of them have done well. Many have not really done much. And I expect the president to drop between 12 to 15 of his 36 ministers.
He should retain like 50% of them?
I expect him, based on feelers, I expect him to retain between 12 to 15 of them and bring in the right people. If you remember what his wife said, some of those people that eventually became ministers were not even known to the president. The president does not have that cosmopolitan nature, and he did not have friends across the country that could help him to get the, you know, he was before the 2015 election, he was kind of in his cocoon. He didn't really break out. So for that kind of person to be able to find the right people across the country to work for him will be difficult. So it was now the responsibility of some people close to him to find the people to work for the president. The president's wife admitted that I didn't know some of the people that had to work with him. Maybe that played a part in the unnecessary delay, and Nigeria paid dearly for that delay because it affected the economy negatively. But be that as it may, we've been able to see what some of those governors, those ministers can achieve. And he has people now whom he had been seeing for 4 years. Some of them had worked with him informally. He has an opportunity to give a chance to some of those people. For example, if I asked you, the minister from your state, the minister representing your state, you may not remember.
Adewale.
You may not remember. You see, you are looking to the skies. That says a lot. That says a lot, and many Nigerians feel that way.
Honestly.
But the president has, in that state of yours, the president has a chance, for example, to look in the direction of some of the people who have been helping him. Remember that orator who contested against Memeko? You know,
Olushola.
Yes, you know he works with the president. In a way, he's on the defense team of the president. So the president will see him frequently and be able to assess and determine whether such a person, whether his loyalty can be rewarded. He's had 4 years to look at new people, a whole set of new people. And a lot of those people have got the capacity that he can use. This is a country of almost 200 million people by our estimated projected population, not real terms. But amongst us, he should be able to find the right people so that the problem that we have, because there are jesters in his administration, if you ask him, he will admit to you that he has some jesters in his administration. You hear some of them speak, you get embarrassed. So when it comes to, there's a particular minister, people see him wearing a funny cap. You know, such people, Nigerians will ask the question. Nigerians will ask the question, does it make any sense to reward these people with a second term? Because there's nowhere that it is written that because you serve the president the first time, if the president gets a second term, you must get an automatic second term. And the president's goal, his idea, what he thinks he should do. For example, the president is positive about the railways. He wants to do something about the railways. So in that way, in that regard, he may not be thinking of tampering with the setup there, because even a few days back, he still talked about it. So that should tell you that probably the person staying there, the person who is minister in that ministry, he will not touch it. But he could also tinker with that ministry by splitting it into two, because of the constant fighting between the aviation minister, Hadi Sirika, and Amechi.
Did they work together at all?
They never work together. If Amechi is going to a conference somewhere,
will go.
If Hadi Sirika is aware that Amechi will go and give a keynote address somewhere, it's a transport ministry event, Hadi Sirika will stay away. And on a particular occasion, they almost came to blows. They had to be restrained. Both men had to be restrained. So that we don't face the kind of embarrassment that we had during the president's first term. Maybe the president would either reassign those two ministers or split the ministry so that maybe aviation can stand alone. I suspect that he could do that, because many people ask the question, why, if Sirika is constantly taking his memos to you for approval.
What's
Then
the use of
why,
this?
why does he need to go and seek Amechi's permission to do anything when he can simply walk to the president every time he takes his memo to the president approves? So why don't you simply split them up so that they stop embarrassing you and the rest of us? So there are so many things that Nigerians are looking forward to in this the president's second term. And as Nigerians have been saying since yesterday, you have your own
Team.
your friends now in charge in the National Assembly. You do not have excuses anymore. The synergy has to be better because under Bukola Saraki, the Senate passed more than 40 bills that the president refused to give assent to. We don't expect to see that during the second term. Before you get to the point of even
passing it,
passing, there will have been caucus meetings at the level of the party members in the National Assembly, so that there will be seamless. And
it's also important.
Four times.
It's also important. The special advisor on National Assembly matters must be somebody that can work with the National Assembly.
Most of them are members,
the whole thing, if you look back, it is because of the manner Saraki emerged that led to the bickering between the legislature and the judiciary. So this time around, we don't have that problem. So we expect that at least the National Assembly will not be adversarial in any way, and the president will be able to work with these things. If they presented the electoral bill to you 4 times, I don't think you have any reason to not pass it. Look at the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill. For 40 years, that bill, the National Assembly had been prevaricating on that bill. And then we had an opportunity to finally get that bill passed into law. Yet, it wasn't passed into law. We don't need this kind of bickering during the second
Thank you so much, Babajide. I'd like to take contributions from my resource people first. Where's the microphone? Okay, that's around. Yeah. Maybe Mr. Omekpino. All right. How would you assess the ministers in the last 3.5 years?
Well, I think my assessment will not be different from my colleagues' assessment. Perhaps Nigerians will also the best most of those ministers can put forward. But again, I want to also agree that there are a few of them that are worthy of being reappointed. One of those that we have seen his work visibly is the transport minister. I frequent Kaduna a lot, and I want to say that in the last 4 years, I've only traveled Kaduna-Abuja by road twice. Not only me, most Nigerians, most people, senators, they now use the rail. And so I believe very strongly that Nigerians from other parts of the country will be looking forward to having that type of transport system around their area. But what I will also add is that in the next 4 years, the president needs to be very firm because when Mr. Babajide was speaking, he was talking about the Minister of State for Aviation taking his memo directly to the president. Ordinarily, the president should not have allowed that type of thing to happen. Same way we had a situation where the head of custom was saying publicly that he was not answerable to the Minister of Finance. I believe such persons should, the president should have a way of reprimanding people like that, because when you allow things like that happen, you are only giving room for impunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to appreciate, we have people outside the studio. They've been watching us. We've been getting feedback from, I've been getting cutaways from them. Wonderful people. Please, a round of applause for them. They're outside the studio. They're outside watching. Thank you so much. Now, finally, who will the president choose as his chief of staff? Has Abba Kyari performed well? Will he go for another person? And a lot of Nigerians, they keep saying that, look, they seem to have, the chief of staff seem to have so much influence on Mr. President, GKB.
Well, I can bet.
Will the president change his chief of staff?
I don't think so. I can bet my
People
last.
have been saying it for some time now, telling us that.
I think Abba Kyari will run this government till the end of the last day. I can bet my last.
You mentioned the name of Pastor Tunde Bakare all over, and I was like,
Wari has shown that based on his rather closet lifestyle, that he trusts those that are very close to him over time. And nobody's going to break into that circle at that level of chief of staff. It's not going to happen. I think the current team, both visible and invisible, are going to continue to run this government in a way and manner that you can create a legacy for Mr. President. Outside that, I don't see any major change.
Do you see Mr. President changing his chief of staff?
Maybe. He is keeping his options close to his chest. People, even his closest aides, do not know the ministers that he's going to drop. He's extremely secretive about that, and he can make. If you are talking about people who are close to the president, the Attorney General of the Federation is closer to the president than the chief of staff.
That's Malami.
Malami is closer to him than the chief of staff. So he could decide to put Malami there. It's up to him. He wasn't, Abba Kyari had never really been close to him. You know, Abba Kyari.
So powerful. He's said to be so powerful.
Yes, there's a position. And you see, you know, the people who are close to the president, people like Babagana Kingibe, Samala Issa Funtua, Mahmoud Tukur, and the rest of them who constitute the cabal, and the big masquerade, Mama and Daura, who constitute the cabal. They are the ones who take the decision. They make you powerful, and even more powerful than you should be. So it's not, it's that position that made him powerful. The president can drop him and choose someone else amongst his cycle of close aides who will also do that job and do it without the scandals, without the negative stories that we hear about the man from Bama, because some of the negative things that the wife of the president talks about revolve around people like Abba Kyari. The president's wife does not appear to like Abba Kyari and the rest of them, saying that why are Nigerians constantly licking their boots? So does it mean if he keeps Abba Kyari, then Madam will probably be complaining for another 4 years? So those are issues that the president also will want to consider. So I don't think, if you keep hearing that the president may drop Abba Kyari, it may also mean that there's so much pressure on the president along that line. You can replace him with someone else, but I don't think it will be Pastor Tunde Bakare. So that one is a long shot.
Janet, I don't know. State governors, they've been announcing their SSG, chief of staff, chief press secretaries across the country. Mr. President, 1 week after taking over, at least it's over a week after taking over for second time in office, is yet to announce anybody.
Yeah, we cannot compare state to federal. Federal is a larger cabinet, states are smaller. However, we don't expect that the appointment of ministers or other people should take 6 months like the first term. He should try and make it in the next 1 month, because this is his second and final tenure. He really needs every minute of this last tenure. He should not waste time in trying to look for who should be minister, who should not be minister, who should be chief of staff, because he does not really have time. 4 years is not a long time. 4 years is very short to achieve the kind of promises that he has made. Because the first tenure, he didn't achieve much. So he just has 4 years to do that, and it's not enough. Even in terms of transport that my colleague here mentioned, there is a whole lot that needs to be done in terms of transport, because Lagos-Ibadan Express is a major road. In fact, it's all roads, east, west, north, everywhere. They pass through Lagos-Ibadan Express. And up till now, that road has not been completely completed. Some portion had been abandoned, and they cause a lot of traffic. There are 24-hour traffic. People are suffering, and they are complaining between, let me say, OPIC and Mowe. Those are terrible, and every time the radio is telling people, look for alternative routes. Where are the alternative routes? They should mention the alternative routes. So I want the transport minister to look into that axis. The president should get cracking and get results. No more excuses. The time for excuses are over.
Thank you, Sam.
Our colleague, dwells quite a lot on the presidents, but I can tell you for free that we have a lot of mess at the state level. A lot of theater is going on. We've heard about some freshers on the beat. Fresh governors taking new wives. And
it's a matter of priority.
Yeah, and you wonder if that is priority. We expect them to hit the ground, running, and some are busy, undertaking tours, clearly showing that they probably don't have every, concrete plans, they want to run with. So I think that our leaders, should show more seriousness in terms of the programs, they want to bring.
Thank you so much. Let's take this short break. When we return, Mobolade Omonijo and Mayor Akinpelu will join me to discuss war against insecurity. Stay with us. It's still Journalist Hangout. Welcome back. Mayor Akinpelu and Mobolade Omonijo is just joining us. Now, it is the Democracy Day special of Journalist Hangouts, and insecurity has continued to defy logic in Nigeria, and attempts to fight the Hydra-headed monster are becoming more intractable. The more the war against insecurity is waged, the more the new and the deadly security threats confront us as a country. Though some gains have been recorded in the fight against insurgency, losses have also been recorded. The dreaded Boko Haram fighters have launched daring attacks on military and civilian targets with deadly consequences. Pockets of herdsmen, farmers' clashes are still recorded across the country. To add salt to our festering sores, new wave of security challenges like armed banditry, kidnapping, and cost-related clashes pervade the land. From Borno to Taraba, Zamfara to Katsina and Kaduna states, it has been tales of wars and blood. With security of lives and property the primary responsibility of the government, has the president failed in this regard? Let's hear from President Muhammadu Buhari on this.
I and the Nigerians collectively must give adequate thanks to our armed forces, police, and other law enforcement agencies for working around the clock to protect us by putting themselves in harm's way and defending our values and protecting our future. Terrorism and insecurity are worldwide phenomena, and even the best policed countries are experiencing increasing incidents of unrest and are finding things hard to cope. Admittedly, some of the challenges still remain in kidnappings, banditry in some rural areas. The great difference between 2015 and today is that we are meeting these challenges with much greater support to the security forces in terms of money, equipment, and improved local intelligence. We are meeting these challenges with superior strategy, firepower, and resolve. We know that there exists a strong correlation between economic inequality and insecurity. When economic inequality rises, insecurity rises. But when we actively reduce inequality through investments in social and hard infrastructure, insecurity reduces. The disturbing increase in rates of kidnapping, banditry, and other criminal activities can be attributed to the decades of neglect and corruption in social investment, infrastructure development, education, and healthcare. This issue is further compounded by the impact of our changing climate and ecology. The ECOWAS and Sahel regions, starting from Chad all the way to Mali, are also experiencing adverse impacts of drought and desertification, which have triggered waves of human displacement, conflicts between farmers and herdsmen, terrorism, and a fundamental socio-economic change to our way of life. These issues are regional and...
Mayor, how would you assess President Muhammadu Buhari in terms of security?
I think he has not done well at all. He started well by doing well about the Boko Haram insurgency. But when you look at it, Nigeria is expressing the kind of problems that we've never had before. In the Northeast, Boko Haram is still alive and well. Though they have been degraded to some extent, but they are still alive and well. When you look at the Northwest, armed banditry has taken over Zamfara. It has now spread to Katsina. In our country, citizens of Katsina are now moving to Niger to go and stay there. When you look at the Middle Belt, Plateau and Benue, there was a time it was a killing field. Now, that insecurity has spread to the southwest. You cannot travel between Ibadan, Lagos, Ibadan Ife Road to Ilesha to Ekiti. It has now become a major kidnapping route. So as far as I'm concerned, security situation is so terrible. And with all respect to Mr. President, I don't think he understands the enormity of what we are going through. Because recently, he gave something like a vote of confidence on the security chiefs. And I think that is a huge mistake. If he's the commander-in-chief, so he could have a reason for not wanting to change his service chiefs because he has extended their tenure. But I think we need a different security architecture in this country. It shows that things are not working. And when things are not working, you cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. And our security agencies, for whatever reason, are not on top of it. We have to be sincere with ourselves. The kind of insecurity that we used to hear about that's happening in northeast of the country is now all over the country. And especially the issue of kidnapping, is very, very serious. So when you get to hear stories from people, it is sad that you cannot venture on a major road in the southwest without fear that you are going to be kidnapped. And people are paying ransom every day. So I believe that the president has done well when it comes to security.
It started with herdsmen, farmer clashes. Look, but it's gone far, far beyond that now. We've introduced kidnapping and big-time armed banditry.
Well, kidnapping, armed banditry, all of them have been there before, but it's moved many notches up in recent times, that everybody is now afraid. Kidnapping anywhere. When the president was coming in 2015, he raised hopes that being a general, having commanded the major divisions, and he made the point of that himself, that former president did not know anything about security. And quite a number of people were persuaded to vote for him on that score, especially. And the fact that he appears to be a very disciplined person on corruption. But on the issue of security, a number of people thought, this Boko Haram thing is about taking the attention. It became negative news about Nigeria all over the world. Now, kidnapping all over the country, everywhere. There's nowhere that is safe again. And banditry, like I said, has moved some notches up. It's not just Zamfara. He said it has spread to Katsina. You have it also in Sokoto, in parts of Sokoto, and it could as well spread anywhere. So the bomb is ticking every day, and you do not know when to go off anywhere. No, it's a major, major problem. Insecurity in Nigeria has festered so much that Nigerians are afraid of what will come next. We have not seen new strategies coming up. Like my brother said here, I mean, we've not seen new strategies coming up. The first thing that you will expect, at least to give confidence to the people, is that, well, you have an armed forces where you have quite a number of human resources. Then you have kept just the same set there for so long, and people are complaining, and you have confidence in them, and the people don't have confidence. You need to instill confidence in the people. You need to tell them that I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going, and then you have quite a number of people. I don't want to mention names. People like Adeosun and Co have performed well, but I'm not promoting anybody. He knows better. He's the commander-in-chief. But let's not give the impression that only 1, 2, 3 persons can run the Nigerian armed forces. There are a number of people. Let's see action. Let's see a change in strategy. Let's see tactics. Then we know that we are in good hands and safe hands.
Julie, for some time now, you've been monitoring what is happening in the Northeast, and you have your sources in the Nigerian army, and from what we've seen so far, steps taken by the military to address this menace of armed banditry and Boko Haram insurgents across the country. Are you impressed?
I will say that they can do a lot better. What I'm not impressed about is the constant chest thumping by the president that Boko Haram has been defeated. And of course, that's a lie from the pit of hell. You've not defeated Boko Haram. God knows it. God knows it. I mentioned politicians from Borno State, Guzamala local government. None of them dares go home. I challenge them. I'm saying it publicly now. The Speaker of Borno State House of Assembly is from Guzamala local government. He dares not go home.
As in that place is
it's a no-go area. Kukawa local government, the second largest local government in Borno State, it's a no-go area. Marte is a no-go area.
Till now?
Yes. Okay. Abadam is a no-go area. People are watching me, and God is watching me. What we usually have is the local government headquarters will be safe. All the communities in the hinterland, they are not safe.
So most of them...
What our leaders tell us, our leaders like to feed us with a diet of lies. They enjoy it. But when the Borno State governor went to Chad, and he knew, and Nigeria knows that they need the support of Chad, the governor of Borno State confessed publicly that the boys ruled the hinterland. That was his language. Mm-hmm. So what is the point in having control of the local government headquarters, and 5 kilometers outside the headquarters, your life is in danger? The Shehu of Borno told the president this when the president visited Borno, that we can't go to our farms. We are not safe. So why are we thumping our chest that we've defeated the enemy? Last May, the month of May, Boko Haram overran 4 military bases. Four military bases in just 3 days. And what do? When they attack the military bases, they are going there to steal. They are not interested in holding ground. The strategy has changed. They want to decimate you. They want to loot your weapons. So the era, when people now boast that, oh, they are no longer controlling this, they are not, they don't have the personnel, the manpower to be holding on to territories. They don't have it, but they have the capacity to inflict damage. When Boko Haram invaded, what was it called, Baga in December, I was in Borno State. because I spent my Christmas in Bono. And we have stories, oh, we chased them away. We didn't chase them away. They remained there for months. And what did they do? They looted right up to naval boats. The other day I saw a picture of Boko Haram on the islands of Lake Chad. And they paraded the boats that they seized from the Navy. Because the Navy could not even gain access to its base for months. They remained there in the
vessel from us.
Not one, about 3 boats they took away. And even tanks that they seized at Kimba, they paraded the tanks along with the... You see, there's a whole level of fresh danger that we are not aware of. These boys, before now, they were not in the habit of capturing soldiers and parading soldiers publicly and executing them. They've started doing that. And you see the video, they will not just do it, they will force the soldiers to confess. Where did we catch you? We caught you at, the soldiers will say, I was in so-so-so brigade, 150-something brigade, before they took me. And after that, they now execute them. They were not doing this before. And that's an enemy that has been defeated. For me, it's more worrisome to me even than kidnapping, because the army represents the pride of our nation, the symbol of our greatness. So if Boko Haram can be giving us the kind of runaround that we are seeing, then we are in trouble.
Absolutely.
Chad has come into Nigeria to fight for the first time since Buhari took over. We were reluctant to get them, to bring them in, because the president clearly underrated Boko Haram. I keep saying it. Immediately he came in, he underrated Boko Haram. Because one of the first things the president said was, how are the mighty falling? That how can foreign troops come and fight on Nigerian soil? But today, under his watch, Cameroon came to fight in Bama and other areas. Under his watch, we've seen troops from Chad operating in the Gamborone Gala areas, helping us. We cannot defeat the enemy unless we get the support of our neighbors. It's not possible. I've said it repeatedly. We are now seeing that. If people can't go to their homes, big politicians, some of them have not visited their towns or villages in more than 3 years. Boko Haram, they elected their own district head for Guzamala. And you will say they are not controlling anywhere. So this is the thing. If we need help, let's go and get help. Let's not fool ourselves that we've defeated the enemy.
Mayor, Mayor, this is, apart from Boko Haram now, when you talk about Zamfara,